So, hello everyone. My name is Anu Paavola. I am an Ayurvedic practitioner, educator, and the author of the book Ayurveda Detox. Today, I am joined by a special guest, my client who has recently completed our Urban Panchakarma program, a week's process designed to gently decongest, regulate, and purify both the body and mind. So, before we hear about Charlotte's experience, I'd like to explain a little bit about this Urban Panchakarma program, how it works. So the core clinical phase of the program takes place over 10 days at our clinic, during which clients receive a fully individualized package of Ayurvedic nutrition, lifestyle guidance, herbal remedies, and therapeutic body treatments. However, this process actually begins earlier with a preparation phase called Purvakarma. And this period usually lasts between 1 or 2 weeks and takes place within the client's own home environment. And during this time, clients usually gradually begin implementing Ayurvedic practices and, most importantly, establish the rhythms necessary for effective detoxification and nervous system regulation. So, this includes reducing evening eating, avoiding snacking, going to bed earlier, waking earlier, and establishing a stable morning routine. And so a well-established rhythm for Urvakarma creates a smooth transition into the deeper cleansing phase of Panchakarma because detoxification itself follows a circadian rhythm. And by gradually aligning the body's biological rhythms beforehand, we minimize physiological stress, support the body's natural cleansing mechanisms as well. So throughout both the preparation and cleansing phases, we focus on establishing a sustainable habits and behaviors that continue into the final stage of the process called samsarjana karma or aftercare. So during this period, the client continues selected herbal and lifestyle routines, are encouraged to practice self-massage at home, and gradually return to a broader Ayurvedic diet based on seasonal, organic, and locally sourced foods. So one of the greatest advantages of urban panchakarma is that clients go through this process within their normal living environment. And this makes it much easier to integrate healthy habits into daily life long term. So when detox programs are done abroad or in retreat settings, there can be sometimes challenges adapting both during travel and again upon returning home when routines and environmental triggers suddenly change. So, of course, urban environments also presents its own challenges, particularly dense stimulation and work-related stress. However, when these are consciously managed, the urban setting can become highly supportive and produce very meaningful results. So let's hear directly from Charlotte, who has just completed the Urban Puncher program. So, Charlotte, what was the most noticeable change you experienced during or after the cleansing program, physically, mentally, or emotionally?
Now, afterwards, I feel great. I think I had come in with a lot of brain fog feeling and a little bit of sluggishness coming off of, I had come off of medication and just hadn't felt like I'd really come back to myself. And then in hindsight, realizing how much was tied to the gut and how much of this Ayurvedic urban detox targets that gut directly. So I was able to tie it also to not only kind of the mind and the relaxation and kind of thinking it almost in a more yogic way, but also in a very clinical scientific way. So I really liked that personally to understand how it's feeling. So yeah, basically a lot more energy, even to the point of, interestingly, one of the challenges was that sleep rhythms. Because I was like, suddenly I had so much energy. I was like, I didn't want to sleep at all. The worst problems to have. But
Mm,
I'd say it was interesting because the first, in going through the intensity, the first 5 days were really tough. Like I was actually a bit more tired and just adjusting. And it was, I think, also the social conditioning of like, I should be eating now, which has, in hindsight, I had realized how much that preparatory steps had helped to start
yeah.
getting into like doing some half of it and getting a little bit more used to it. So it didn't feel so horrible. And then by the
Mm,
end, feeling amazing, and then also feeling just naturally, this is something I could continue. I've tried, various things like keto before, and while it was effective short term and is arguably meant to be short term, those kind of treatments, it still felt this is something I can sustain longer. And I'd say that was the biggest takeaway for me, like as you had
mm,
mentioned. I really feel it.
brilliant, brilliant. So, were there any particular practices or routines that you found especially transformative or surprisingly effective?
I focusing on the warm foods first. Maybe I think about that one because it was something I would never even have thought of on my own. and then just
Mm,
as using it as an anchor for a morning routine. Like, there's often kind of the analogy of you don't have to have the goal of going to the gym, it's the goal of getting the clothes on or getting out the door or getting to the gym. So I guess I think of it as a similar trigger of start getting up and being kind of like groggy or something. It's hot right now in London. Who says that ever? But um, going to the morning and, like, putting on my kettle and just having that be a trigger for the rest of the morning routine.
yeah.
So, I think that was a big one, and then I'd already practiced mindfulness, but having it just be very much a required and in a certain kind of time frame space. Yeah.
Mm, brilliant. So what would you say to someone considering this program who might be just a bit unsure whether it's right for them?
Well, that I think is easy in the sense that you are able to answer so many questions. I think this was my first time approaching Ayurveda in general, and I talked to some family friends who've been familiar. I talked to some other practitioners in London, but I think it was in speaking with you and just having all my concerns, even throughout the program, very much kept coming back to you with more questions. And that if there's any uncertainty, I'd say it's just being able to talk to you and having you point me somewhere if you don't have I mean, you always have the answer, but just to get more information, have it
Mm,
out there. So I'd say there's no it's almost also no harm, no foul. Like, there's nothing bad there. I've only ever felt good, and it was only a test of, I think, discipline and kind of what my body needed.
yeah.
If anything, there was a moment of, "Wow, I thought I signed up for 10 days and crap, I really accidentally signed up for a lot more." But then, it's undeniable just how much better I'm feeling, so it
Mm,
kind of comes you want to be doing that continually.
brilliant. Well, it
Yeah.
was very, very nice to work with you and see all the results that you gained, and now also hear you say all this. So well done, congratulations, and thanks very much again for doing this recording for me. And I'll hope to see you soon in the clinic anyway to get
Yeah, you too, and
some
your
more
great team.
treatment in.
A whole set of, masseuses and masseurs are yeah, they're all lovely, so good luck.
Mm,
Yeah.
great team. All right. Well, thanks very much, and I'll see you soon.
Bye.